Good afternoon, I'm Mai Rodriguez and this is Newsfeed at noon. The headlines: Smartmatic's founder charged of money laundering and bribery in connection with Philippine elections surrenders in Miami. The World Health Organization warns of a new global health emergency, Mpox. And the highlights of the grand welcome parade for our Olympians. The Venezuelan-American founder of Smartmatic surrenders to authorities in Miami for allegedly committing foreign corruption and money laundering to secure elections contracts in the Philippines. Roger Piñata is accused of paying $1 million in bribes to former COMELEC chair Andy Bautista. Smartmatic's former vice president, George Miguel Vasquez, also surrendered. The 49-year-old Piñata was charged along with Bautista and Vasquez of conspiracy to commit money laundering and 3 counts of international laundering of money instruments. The Commission on Audit is yet to submit its report on Vice President Sara Duterte's use of confidential and intelligence funds for 2022 and 2023. During the COA's budget hearing Tuesday, the House Appropriations Committee issued a subpoena for the COA to submit copies of the report. This after COA Chair Gamaliel Cordoba informed the committee that they have already completed the audit of the confidential funds of VP Sara for the OVP and the Department of Education. Gamaliel said they have already furnished copies of the report to the Office of the President, the Senate President, and the House Speaker. In its 2022 annual audit report, the COA disclosed that the OVP had 125 million pesos in confidential expenses, despite not having an appropriation for intelligence or confidential funds. The 125 million pesos was reportedly spent in just 11 days. The House Appropriations Committee resumes deliberations on next year's spending bill. Today, the panel is tackling the proposed budget of the Interior Department. Hannah T. joins us from the Batasang Pambansa for an update. Hannah.
The Department of Interior and Local Government, or DILG, seeks a 2025 budget of 281.32 billion, a 6% increase from last year to enhance its programs. Among these programs is Buhay Ingatan Drogay Ayawan or BIDA program. The program led to the arrest of over 30,500 drug suspects and the seizure of 14 billion worth of drugs, with more than 28,000 barangays declared drug-cleared by June. Meanwhile, key budget allocations include 206.18 billion for the Philippine National Police, 31 billion for the Bureau of Fire Protection, and 29.25 billion for the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology. The Seal of Good Local Governance Incentive Fund gets 2 billion to promote good governance. Fighting illegal drugs, extremism, and insurgency remains a priority, with 436.8 million allocated. The PNP will receive 2 billion for capability enhancement and 1.72 billion for a rice subsidy for uniformed personnel. For the 2025 elections, especially in Mindanao, DILG Secretary Benhur Abalos checkpoints. The PNP has 958.62 million for patrol operations and an additional 806.03 million in confidential funds for 2025. Back to you.
Thank you, Hannah T. reporting. The Senate hearing on the sexual harassment complaint by actor Sandro Muhlach continues. Senators are expected to review laws like the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act and the Safe Spaces Act. Agatha Gregorio reports live from the Senate. Agatha, who are some of the people speaking today?
Sandro Muhlach and the 2 independent contractors of GMA Network accused of sexually assaulting Muhlach, Jojo Nones, and Richard Cruz were not expected to be present today. Instead, lawmakers will be talking to representatives of the Justice and Labor departments. They will likely discuss the need to review policies set up by television networks and talent agencies on handling abuse and harassment. Laws related to the matter, like the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act, Safe Spaces Act, and Mental Health Act, may also be reviewed. In the last hearing, Nones and Cruz strongly denied the allegations, but senators believe there is evidence for criminal charges against them, so they recommended filing a complaint in the right forum. Senator Jinggoy Estrada said details of acts allegedly committed on Muhlach, which were discussed behind closed doors, will be withheld until the National Bureau of Investigation completes its own probe. Senator Robin Padilla assures all parties their rights will be protected. Back to you, Mai.
Thank you, Agatha Gregorio, live from the Senate. All eyes on the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, which is set to hold its key policy rate meeting today. The BSP is expected to initiate a rate cut cycle due to growing pressure to align with potential interest rate reductions by the U.S. Federal Reserve. Several financial institutions are predicting a 25 basis point rate cut, while July's inflation rate unexpectedly surged to 4.4%. Analysts believe this is a temporary supply-side issue that won't derail the BSP's plan to ease interest rates. But BSP Governor Eli Remolona has said the central bank is always open to any off-cycle moves. Finance Secretary Ralph Recto allays lawmakers' concerns about the country's ballooning debt. He says the debt-to-GDP ratio should go down by 2028. Agatha Gregorio has more on Tuesday's budget hearing at the Senate.
The government is taking a more gradual approach to addressing the country's debt, expected to reach around 16 trillion pesos by the end of the year. That's what Finance Secretary Ralph Recto told senators on Tuesday when asked about the increasing deficit and debt.
And today we've come out with a more gradual reduction in deficit, a more gradual reduction on debt to GDP, so that we can make the proper investments in infrastructure and human resource development, so that we can hit a more realistic 6 to 7% GDP growth rate. Today you have a debt to GDP ratio. When the president signed, it was 61.8%. The idea is to bring that down to 56.3% by 2028.
Recto was also quick to ease worries on how the recently announced ban of Philippine offshore gaming operators would affect the economy. The finance chief said the department never considered POGOs in projected revenues for 2025.
Maliwanag yung isinabi ni hindi natin ini-input yung revenue sa POGO at maski na iban ang POGO, legal, illegal, whatever, ay wala pong impact sa ating ekonomiya.
That is correct. Kung meron man, napakaliit ng impact. But I think in the long run, it will be better for us.
A cost-benefit analysis by the Finance Department previously showed that the country loses over 99 billion pesos a year due to POGOs. On the topic of rice tariff cuts, National Economic and Development Authority Secretary Arsenio Balisacan said they hope to revisit this and bring the tariff back to 35% from 15% once the prices in the world market fall.
And so in the EO62 ho, ang nangyari doon is may provision doon na every 4 months, i-review yung market situation. And if the review will show that prices in the world market have gone down, and that's beginning to be felt locally, and that's exerting a downward pressure on farm gate prices, we should propose to the cabinet, to the NEDA board, an increase in the tariff so that our farmers are protected.
Finance Secretary Ralph Recto adds it is natural to lower the tariff as the country increases production to meet the demand for rice. In July, farmers group Samahang Industriya ng Agrikultura asked the Supreme Court to declare the president's order on cutting tariffs unconstitutional. Agatha Gregorio, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
Over in the United States, the latest inflation figures are out. After advancing to 3% in June, the Consumer Price Index declined slightly to 2.9% year-on-year in July. But economists expect the CPI to stay at 3%. On a monthly basis, the index rose 0.2% after falling 0.1% in June. The new inflation figures cement expectations the U.S. Federal Reserve may cut interest rates next month. But markets are split between the size of that cut. Some expect a reduction of 25 basis points, while others expect a half a percentage point cut. U.S. stocks edge higher following the release of encouraging inflation data. But trading action was generally subdued, with many investors away on summer vacation. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 0.6%, while the tech-heavy Nasdaq posted its fifth straight daily gain despite a drop in shares of Google's parent firm Alphabet. The shares dropped 2.3% on reports the U.S. Department of Justice is considering options that include breaking up the online search engine.
The CPI report that everybody's been focused on, and so they're trading based on that. I think it came in not too hot, so it wasn't high enough to kind of regenerate concerns that the economy is not slowing down. And it wasn't low enough, I think, to generate a concern that, wow, maybe we really are in a recession. So it didn't confirm this so-called triggering of the SOM rule from last week with the jobs report. And so I think, it's not, investors are still, kind of trying to make sense of what it is, and it's not too hot and not too cold.
When Newsfeed at noon returns, a new warning from the World Health Organization: Mpox is again a global health emergency. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're still watching Newsfeed at noon. The Department of Migrant Workers raises the financial aid that distressed overseas Filipino workers and their families will receive. The DMW says a distressed OFW can now get 50 to 100,000 pesos through the agency's Action Fund. The Budget Department earlier earmarked 15.3 billion pesos for the program. The fund will cover legal and medical assistance and the repatriation of distressed OFWs. The Philippine Charity Sweepstakes Office plans to expand its assistance to cover the professional fees of doctors. According to PCSO General Manager Mai Rodriguez, the agency now intends to allocate funds that can be used for either hospital expenses or doctors' fees. Robles says they plan to launch the project in October. The PCSO assistance to indigents currently does not include payment of professional fees. The World Health Organization declares the rapid spread of Mpox in African countries a global health emergency. This is the second time in 2 years Mpox, formerly called monkeypox, was declared a public health emergency of international concern. The outbreak began in the Congo with the spread of an endemic strain, but a new variant appears to spread more easily through close contact.
It's clear that a coordinated international response is essential to stop these outbreaks and save lives. A public health emergency of international concern is the highest level of alarm under international health law.
More than 17,000 suspected Mpox cases and over 500 deaths have been reported in the African continent so far this year. That's a 160% increase from the same period last year. Former U.S. President Donald Trump goes on the offensive in his campaign in North Carolina. The Republican presidential bet launched personal and political attacks on his Democratic rival Kamala Harris. Trump also slammed the current administration's handling of inflation, using Tic Tacs as a prop for rising prices.
So, this is Tic Tacs, right? I don't know if I like the company. I've never met, I have no idea. They're so lucky. Look at all the television. This is the greatest commercial they ever had. But that's what happened. This is inflation. This is Tic Tac. This is Tic Tac. This is inflation. This is what's happened. I just happened to have, somebody gave me this one today. I said, I think we'll put it up as an example of inflation.
In Peru, archaeologists unearthed 4 human remains believed to be more than 3,000 years old. The find happened at a dig in a stretch of barren land in northern Peru that appears to have housed a ceremonial temple honoring the gods of an ancient culture. The remains were found nestled between some mud and stone walls near a valley. Peru, which is rich in archaeological sites of various ages, was home to the ancient Inca Empire. When Newsfeed at noon returns, a peek at Olympic gold medalist Carlos Yulo's new condo unit. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're still watching Newsfeed at noon. Double gold Olympic medalist Carlos Yulo can now move to his condo, one of the rewards he received for bagging the gold in Paris. The 100 square meter, 3-bedroom unit is fully furnished and designed with home and entertainment appliances. There are also 2 balconies that can be accessed both from the living room and the master's bedroom, which offers views of the city. And the standout piece is the custom-made nesting coffee table with a replica of the Paris Olympics gold medal. Filipinos got to see up close Carlos Yulo and the country's athletes who competed in the recently concluded Paris Games. Bea de la Cruz gives us the highlights of Wednesday's Grand Parade for the Filipino Olympians.
Thousands of fans and supporters gathered in Manila and Pasay to get a glimpse and congratulate the country's Olympians led by double gold medalist Carlos Yulo. From the Aleo Theater, where the parade started late in the afternoon on Wednesday, hundreds lined the streets where the floats carrying the athletes passed. Many were waving flags and posters celebrating the athletes. Some motorists even reportedly stopped and got out of their vehicles to join the celebration. Yulo's father was also spotted in the crowd cheering for his son and other athletes, which Yulo later acknowledged on social media. The parade ended at the Rizal Memorial Sports Coliseum, where some 7,000 people were waiting, according to the organizers.
Proud na proud ako sa mga nakatayo dito sa gilid ko. Grabe yung motivation ko na nakukuha ko sa kanila at mga natututunan. Sobrang nakaka-inspira silang lahat. Mas gagalingan pa po namin sa mga susunod na competition at asahan niyo po na mas makakakuha po tayo ng mas maraming medal po.
Taus-puso po kaming nagpapasalamat sa suporta nyo at sa prayers, no? Lalo na po sa mga nanood po sa amin na madaling araw po dito sa Pilipinas. Maraming salamat po.
Sa mga kabataan po na nag-e-aim na sundan yung yapak po naming lahat na nandito po sa harapan ninyo. Huwag nyo pong pigilan yung sarili ninyo. Huwag nyo pigilan na abutin ang pangarap ninyo. Lagi nyo pong tatandaan, sa bawat paghindi ni Lord, sa bawat na ayaw ni Lord ibigay yung gusto natin, mas better ang plano ng Panginoon lagi kaysa sa atin.
A day before, the athletes were honored in Malacanang and were given cash incentives running into the millions. Carlos Yulo also received the Presidential Medal of Merit. The city of Manila is also set to hold its own celebration for Yulo and another Olympian, EJ Obiana. Organizers and attendees of the parade underscored the importance of the athletes' achievements, saying they serve as inspiration for the next generation.
Nag-raise rin po sila ng awareness po sa sports, lalo na po sa gymnastics, breaking stereotypes as well na rin po. I feel like we're progressing po sa sports sa point na yon kasi Olympics po, parang naging as one po yung bansa po natin, nag-monitor po sila, nanood po talaga sila. I think we're progressing in that aspect.
Napakalaking inspirasyon niya lalo na sa mga kabataan ngayon. Yung mga batang atleta na magpursige, hindi lang sa sarili nila, kundi kung gaano sila dedikasyon sa kanilang pag-iensayo hanggang sa magtagumpay sila.
Ang mga bayaning atleta!
Bea de la Cruz, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
And those are the news this hour. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Stay tuned to BNC for more top-of-the-hour news on Free TV Channel 31 and also on our website, bnc.ph. Bilyonaryo News Channel, always on top.